All right. So, hi, my name is Ashton. Everyone can just call me Ash. Sorry. So I had promised shouldn't say promised. I had told people that I was gonna do a guide or like a walkthrough of my quest mod for a few Brahmin more. The thing about that is I'm so criminally ADHD that I really don't have the motivation nor organization abilities without an insane amount of effort to do a proper and professional walkthrough. So I thought something that would be maybe entertaining while also being retaining some informative qualities would be just doing like a developer's commentary walkthrough thingy. So that's what we're gonna do. So yeah. I think I still have some fucked up. My install on this is my GEC and testing install on MO2. So I sense that there's gonna be some broken shit just because I don't care to fix it in this. I tried to make it as presentable as possible. But yeah, we're gonna do the I guess we'll do the coalition since I sense that's what most people go with. There were a few people, some feedback I had gotten was that the it's pretty obvious that the coalition are the quote-unquote good guys. While I would agree that they are the better of the two options, I kind of reject the notion that there is that you can't side with the Barons and still be a good character. There's a lot of options that you have throughout the Baron side of the quest where you can still align yourself with a pro NCR faction and put Buck Booth behind bars, or get justice for some of the horrible heinous shit that he's done. So I kind of reject that, but to each their own. We're just gonna do the coalition because I feel like that's what most people would choose. So you can go to any place, any town throughout this kind of southern region of the Mojave. Oh, Jesus, we're just going to do this now because I'm not walking everywhere for this commentary. Pretty much Good Springs, Prim, Mojave Outpost, and Novak. And they'll have these flyers hanging about. Since my test character starts in Good Springs, I'm just going to do this. So you read the flyer.
Don't mean to intrude.
Josie's going to pop up out of nowhere.
Name's Josie. Just couldn't help but notice you were reading one of the Coalition's flyers. Listen, I ain't any kind of snake oil salesman. I just thought you should know that those folks aren't all they say they are. All I got to say is if you're in it for money or action, you're better off joining up with the Booth Barons. Set up all the way to the south, the old civilian airport.
What's so bad about the coalition?
They like to pretend they're all altruistic and whatnot, but the truth is they ain't any better than any of those old Vegas gangs. If you're really interested in what they think of outsiders, you ought to go look at the old Prim station. 3 families turned to charcoal and ash.
What can you tell me about Barons?
I'm surprised you haven't heard of us, but suppose word travels slow around the boonies. Buck Booth and his boys run a large supply industry out of NCR. Right now we're in a bit of a scuffle with the local fauna. These coalition thugs have been keeping us from establishing ourselves here in the Mojave. Like I said, if you're looking for good paying work, Buck's your guy, but do mind yourself around him. He's a bit on the brash side. I keep my talks with them brief myself.
Thanks, I'll head over there. Or I'll pass on that. I'll just say I'll pass on that.
I'll see soon enough, but don't say nobody warned you.
Alright. Fuck you, Josie. So yeah, if you pass on it, it won't give you the option to go to the airport. I guess we could check out Prim Station. We can try to be a not complete dickwad and listen to something Josie has to say. So here's Prim Station, a little side area I wanted to design. Yeah, so this is the grave of Josie's husband Brian, and his adopted son Leroy. So yeah, the place was, to be a little bit of an expository dump, was an NCR settlement attempt. Nice, I think it's dead. I think it's dead, dude. Yeah, it is over. You fucking shot its head off, man. I think it's dead. It was a failed attempt at... It was a failed attempt at an NCR settlement that the coalition ended up firebombing some of their more conservative figures. What the hell is this guy? Where the fuck is he? Oh, I think he's in the... Oh, Jesus. My FPS is like shooting up to like 400, so of course... My character is like easily getting turned around.
Welcome to Prim Station, civilian. How can we be of assistance?
What is this place?
Resupply station for NCR convoys. Back before the correctional facility got sacked, we ran a tight shift. Nowadays, we're sitting ducks in a firing lane. Cowboys attacked the station a while back. Got fed up with the cattle barons coming in from California. They wanted us to get involved, but we refused, citing the lack of manpower and jurisdiction. Well, they retaliated, and hard at that. But we were lucky to have some nearby rangers come in and save our asses. Was too little too late, though. They'd already lit the whole neighborhood ablaze.
Why didn't the NCR retaliate?
Against the rules of engagement. We couldn't identify any target affiliation. Most of us knew they were a part of the coalition, but we didn't have any paper trails to properly identify them. Not to mention that the last thing the army needs is another turf war with insurgencies. Most of the Mojave rural population has some affiliation with the coalition. To wage war on them is to cut every major supply line going to McCarran and the dam.
Have anything to trade?
Negative. This station is for the sole purpose of resupplying NCR personnel. Trading with civilians is forbidden. Watch yourself on the roads out there.
Yeah, so, what? God. This is the worst game for someone who has bad ADHD because there's always a distracting thing, like a fucking body that's, very geometry is being torn apart by the, Gamebryo engine in the distance. But, so the game, the vanilla New Vegas game really hints being kind of a poor choice of words. It pretty explicitly states that the NCR is a really weird imperial force in the world. They're when it comes to the NCR's relationship with the civilian populace, they're kind of on the more passive side, you might say. Passive, once again, not being a great adjective, but they tend to stay out of the affairs of corporate or you might say business overreach of citizens in the NCR, but they'll simultaneously support their citizenry when they push the locals, the native population, too far, resulting in violence. So a great example of that is the Freeside fiasco, right? So in Freeside, you have all of these squatters who are moving in, essentially pissing off the local fauna, and you know, naturally it's going to create some tensions when you have this sudden occupying force of squatters and soldiers coming through your home, essentially claiming it as their own. So when violence inevitably erupts between these two factions, you tend to see the NCR take a passive role in the initial confrontation, but once that confrontation escalates to where NCR citizens begin to suffer that's really when you see the military step in. So very similar situation I kind of wanted to create here with the coalition and the Brahmin barons. The NCR military themselves try to remain neutral, but their neutrality becomes a passive endorsement of the Brahmin barons project, especially coinciding with their use of literal mercenaries to break the local populace. That was a very long-winded way of explaining my Jesus, my frames are going crazy right now. Very long-winded way of explaining the philosophy I had when writing this mod. Yeah.
Well, looks like we've got another added to our ranks. If you're looking for booze or firepower, I've got both.
Limit trade.
If anyone asks, you got these from the gun runners.
No, I got them from you. I really love the lever rifle. I don't have enough caps. I'll let you guys explore that. Oh, of course.
The dude of mine.
Thank you. Big Lebowski reference. It's one of my favorite movies, so naturally had to reference it. So this gun was supposed to be, I mean, it essentially is the Winchester 1895. I originally wanted to have Rockbiter or Hitman animate this, so it properly loaded like an 1895, which would be, it's almost a pseudo breech loading rifle, but obviously it cycles multiple rounds. But you load it from the top rather than the side. So right now it loads from the side just because that's what animation was already available that they had made. But this model was from was a NIF bash from another author, and it just didn't. It was very difficult to have an animator fix the model so it could do that, if that makes sense. So it's kind of a hack job of an 1895, but it's one of my favorite kind of rifles from the late 19th century. So, and it was used in World War I sporadically. So.
Howdy, friend. You here to join
Cool
up
gun.
with the coalition?
Yep.
So, you looking to join up with us old-timers? Well, we've always got a few odd jobs around the ranch. But you look like you've traveled more miles than any cowboy I've ever seen.
The voice actors
what,
that I was
The
able
storms are
to
brewing over the horizon.
cast for this
You've seen more
project did
barons
such a
in the past
fantastic
month than
job.
I've seen in my life. And barons ain't no stranger to me. I think Buck Booth and his boys are fixing to make a move. The only way we're gonna stand a fighting chance
This
is
is
we keep adding
Cell Block
ranches to the
Psycho.
coalition.
If anyone
There's a few out there.
finds
on
the voice
fringes who
familiar,
still
this
ain't
is
on board.
Cell Block
Get these
Psycho
ranches into
after
our pen,
I think he had the
and I'll
flu
pay
or
you
something, which just
Now,
added
word of
more to the
advice.
raspiness
Booth's
of
boys
this
will
character.
sometimes try to buy out ranches before downright driving them out. Don't let any of them ranches settle. If one sells, the dominoes start falling. I don't care what it takes. Folks can't start selling. All right, this is all of them. You go on and hightail it right to those ranches.
All right. So, once again, piggybacking on the... Oh, yeah, this is another thing I could talk about. So I'll make this a quick little thing so I can get to my original point. I wanted there to be more layers to the reputation system in New Vegas that kind of coincides with the major factions that you can have reputations with. The reputation system in New Vegas feels really half-baked. It's a really cool system, but you really only benefit from having good from having like accepted, liked, and idolized thresholds for certain factions. Really, the NCR and the Legion are the major ones, to where if you hit a certain threshold, you get a consistent benefit. With the followers, you get a safe house. Brotherhood, you get a safe house. Actually, I don't even think the safe house for the Brotherhood coincides with your threshold. I think it only coincides with you completing their quest line to a certain extent. I don't remember anything for the boomers. Maybe a few people will like gift you items every once in a while, or give you discounts at some of their merchants, but I don't remember anything about the boomers. Novak, I can't think of anything. Maybe Cliff Briscoe only gives you the key to the motel if you've hit a certain threshold. But yeah, anyways, the reputation threshold just seemed kind of useless to me. So I wanted to create that for the 2 factions I had reputation for in this project. So every time you hit a positive threshold, you get a new benefit. So accepted, Cowboy Coalition. You've been accepted by the Cowboy Coalition. You now have access to use their cowboy camps as safe houses to rest and store your gear. But back to my original point I was going to make. So a few people had mentioned, oh, you know, the factions are so black and white. It's pretty clear that the Cowboy Coalition are the good guys, right? Once again, I wrote and I designed this in a way that the player has a lot of agency in how the stories unfold. As we go through this story, I am gonna try to go from, I mean, just to prove a point, I will be the biggest piece of shit in this. Even though I'm siding with what a lot of people think are the objectively good guys, I can turn this into a complete bloodbath, which is what I'm about to do. Which really, I would say, results in no better of a result than the NCR Barons just coming through and having a bloodbath as well. So yeah, I designed it in a way that you could side with either faction, and your own agency as a player allows you to get a better or a worse result out of that. So yeah, I'm just gonna play as a complete piece of shit and see where that lands us. Of course, you get a cool little adobe. This is actually a stupid Nif Bash that I made, but I ended up loving this rifle. I love to use this rifle in every playthrough, so we're gonna do that. It's called the Elephant Carbine. There is a real single loading, I think it's like a 500 BMG or something like that, that people actually use to hunt elephants. And it's just a single breech loading rifle. So I wanted something like that, but in 4570, obviously, because I don't see any use out of a single shot BMG rifle in this game. So yeah, we're just gonna be a complete piece of shit, even though we're siding with the good guys. Okay. So yeah, if I want to, the thing that sucks is to be a complete piece of shit in an RPG like this. Typically, it means that you get locked out of content. Let's see.
Hi. I don't think I've...
Oh, here, I'm going to actually do this. Perks. I'm trying to remember what kind of perk this is. It's a gameplay perk? No. Player perk? No. I'll just add all perks, fuck it.
Hello. It's...
Wanted to speak to you about joining the Cowboy Coalition.
Listen, as I said... That's a fair point. The people around...
So...
Hello. It's good... Well...
Do this real quick. So I
Hello.
could do... There's a couple different ways I could go about this to be a complete piece of shit. One way is I can actually use barter,
What we need, more than anything else.
is to barter her, to try to coerce her. Into joining. I could also just kill everyone. Ah, fuck it. Let's just do that. Let's just do that to prove a point. This was... Sorry for the mic pop there. This was supposed to be like a wholesome commentary, and now just to prove a point...
Now go on.
I'm just gonna be a complete scumbag. Shit. Jesus, how did I miss every shot? That's probably why. It's training, charisma. We're being very charismatic here. We're just here to massacre them. Okay, so we dealt with Wolfhorn Ranch, so we can be done with that. Now, it has been a while since I've made all this stuff, so I can't exactly remember all the different ways you can go about this.
Howdy, stranger. Sure as hell am.
Surprise.
5,000 caps.
And I think with this, I can do the same thing I did with the Barons.
Aha!
Oh, damn it. I forgot I have the Living Desert on, and I didn't install the patch. I didn't install my own patch for my own mod. Guts everywhere.
Howdy there, beauty.
Oh, sorry, didn't want to talk to you. No offense.
Howdy, stranger.
Okay, maybe you can't. Maybe I'll just kill him. Alright, that's dealt with, man. We've really done a lot. Okay, but you guys get my point. You can be a complete scumbag. Let's see. Trying to. You can be a complete scumbag in this game and get away with it, right?
Hi. I don't think I've seen you around before. I'm Dr. Vesht, the lead researcher here at the ranch. If you have any questions, I suppose I'm the one to ask.
Wanted to speak to you
Listen,
about joining the
as
coalition.
I said to the last courier who offered.
Right. Anything I can do?
Well, sir.
Got it. But yeah, so my point stands that no matter what side you choose, you can be a complete douche. Essentially, I mean, I'm sure that my politics bleed through into the things that I write, undoubtedly, but I really want to display that the ideology and the side itself doesn't matter. It's how you execute that through a person who is working within that ideology, right? You can be a socio coalition
Make it quick.
is essentially trying to unionize all of these independent ranchers, and you can still be a fascist about it. You can still be a horrible, you can still be an oppressive faction no matter what your ideology is. It's how you go about it. So if you're a force that wants to unionize all of these workers against an oppressive colonial imperialist faction, whatever you want to deem them, do you do that through brute force, or are you going to actually do the groundwork to functionally create a good community of unions? And I think that most people just have the goodwill and common sense to where it doesn't even register to them that it's more, the result that you're achieving is more so on your own merit and on your own moral compass than it is about what side you choose. I will at some point do a Baron run with my own commentary, but you can also do a Baron run that's pro NCR, but still anti Brahmin Baron for the most part. You can essentially destroy the coalition, let Willie Roscoe go so he can fight another day, while simultaneously withholding evidence so you can turn in Buck Booth and he gets justice for... Excuse me. Just had a massive coffee, so I'm burping. While withholding evidence so Josie Deacon can indict Buck Booth and send him to prison, where he inevitably faces justice for some of his crimes against humanity, frankly. Just because you side with a faction or you side with an ideology, in this case, pretty blatantly capitalist imperialist ideology versus a more traditionally conservative but pro-union ideology, those two factions are just representing an ideology, not so much how you go about that ideology, how you execute it. So, very long-winded, roundabout way for me to say it's more about player agency in how they execute the ideology rather than the ideology itself that you choose to side with. You seem like you could use a hand. What can I do?
Well, there is something. I sent a couple of Todd's boys over to Sloan to work out a deal with the workers. Few caps under the table
Todd
for some
Howard
building
reference?
supplies to get stolen by the powder gangers. Problem is, I haven't seen them in days. They've got me worried, and I'm jonesing for answers.
Jonesing.
Go talk to a hammer swinger named Brittle.
Eulogy Jones
He's our
reference?
contact.
Alright. Sick. Buchanan is actually one of my favorite characters. I am not shy to admit that I have played New Vegas through more times than years I've probably been alive, to be honest.
Make it quick.
And I'm mostly pro NCR for the most part. Not to say NCR doesn't have a myriad of issues, but I almost always side with the NCR because I think they're the most fleshed out and interesting faction. Being a political nerd, the NCR has a lot of politics that mirror our own world. So naturally, Buchanan is a disenfranchised ex-NCR soldier, and she's kind of like this. I don't put it so much in the explicit text of her dialogue, but in some of the subtext, you get the understanding that Lieutenant Buchanan is within this commune, but she doesn't necessarily subscribe to the ideology. Rather, she's probably a more libertarian type figure who simply finds comfort in a community that is able to exist outside of the NCR independently, while also retaining some form of community within the Mojave Wasteland and within other partnerships. So, this commune, here, I'll exit the dialogue so I can kind of have a background thing to display. So this commune is an interesting pseudo-communist ideology faction, you could say. They're more like a socialist China in a sense. They participate in the free market, but within the confines of their home turf, they're essentially communist or socialist. They take advantage of other, specifically like the NCR or NCR patrons, by selling their goods to them so that they can fund their own social projects at home. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get too far into that tangent, but that's kind of the ideology of the Wolfhorn commune. Can you tell me about, or I'll just ask some questions.
Alright, make it quick.
Never seen NCR armor like that.
Ah, the old NCR Assault Pioneer armor. A bunch of repurposed riot gear the Rangers didn't need. Of course, you don't see this gear in the Army anymore. It's too expensive to throw into the meat grinder. So when we deserted, we took the suits with us. That's probably the only thing that gives us an edge out here. No.
Tell me about yourself.
Used to be a lieutenant in the 1st NCR Pioneer Company. Thought I did a decent enough job while Kimball was in charge. Then that shithead Oliver took over. Never met a guy who could royally fuck up to the nth degree, and every time he would, a CO down the ladder would take the fall and formally resign. Should have seen him coming for me when my platoon was assigned to forward defense.
I've got another question for you. Sorry, I'm adjusting my gain right now to be a little more clear.
Alright, make it quick.
You mentioned that COs would formally resign?
Yep, Fall Guys. Oliver always had one in place. He never writes his own orders. Hard evidence right there. So a junior CO writes it down for him. Good commanders like Shu get pushed to the back to clean up Oliver's mess.
Got any war stories to share?
Hell, I got plenty of those. But the one that broke the Brahmin's back was the battle at Hoover Dam. Oliver's primary infantry battalion was getting overrun by Legion forces. They blitzed them right up the ass, and Oliver needed a bailout. We were in the back digging in for tactical withdrawal when some errand boy came running to me. Gave me Oliver's orders. Handwritten, but not his hand. He never leaves paper trails. Our orders were to fight through the Legion forces occupying the western half of the dam, get on the towers, and mount whatever MGs we can get a hold of. What he didn't tell us was that the Legion were already charging into the eastern bloc, and what he needed was covering fire to withdraw. The second we set foot on the East Dam's road, we were flattened by an entire century of men. My boys were only armed with bolt-action rifles and grease guns. No way in hell we could have fended off a blitz force that large. We got cut in half within 15 minutes. So I did what any good commander would do. I pulled my men out of the meat grinder. Lucky for us, the Rangers showed up just in time. Never been so excited to see a trench coat in my life. So I don't give a fuck what Oliver says about his infantry. The Rangers are the heart of that fucking army. Without them, the dam would be flying another flag.
Nothing else.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You really don't like Oliver. Who do you think should be in charge?
Everyone in the NCR Army knows Shu's competence flattens Oliver's nepotism. Shu has more combat experience.
Yeah, that
He
sounds a little
knows
better.
what it's like to be on the ground, fighting savages with a jammed rifle and leather fatigues. He doesn't rely on troopers to do the heavy lifting. He plays it smart and sends out rangers and specialists to prod the enemy. Oliver, on the other hand, is an insecure little prick. He's spiteful because the ranger saved his ass at the dam. Now he's so desperate to prove his troopers can carry the Republic that he sends them to the dam like a meat grinder. Never mind the fact that half of them don't have proper body armor, weapons, or training. At least when the fighting breaks out, the Legion will be outnumbered 3-1. We call him General Wait and See for a good reason. I mean, hell, just look down the road. The whole fucking garrison of NCR soldiers got wiped at Searchlight. We've been picking up the scraps left behind, and have yet to see a relief force in sight. Even if they don't want to roll with replacing Oliver, joint operations with Hanlon would be more efficient than Oliver's dictatorship. Talk about a Caesar on both sides of the river.
So yeah,
Yep.
that's why I love Buchanan so much, is that she offers a lot more of a she's obviously just a grunt at the end of the day. She was a lieutenant, but that's not saying much in the grand scheme of things. But she was kind of one of the grunts that gets thrown into these horrible political situations and reaps the consequences of them as well, while guys like Oliver can just claim credit for victory. Because at the end of the day, for someone like Oliver, a victory is a victory, unless it's something that's so significant that the casualties can't be overpassed. Overall, the NCR is still flying. They're not in a great political or economical situation after the first battle, but enough so to where Oliver retains his job, while, you know, people like Buchanan suffer in the long run, so...
Howdy.
Need a hand with anything?
Oh yeah, you bet I do. We're a little short-handed on men and supplies, and these fucking bandits have been raiding the ranch for weeks now. Buchanan put me in charge of finding us some better weapons while she works on the defenses. I caught wind of some convicts who holed up in an old mine near NCRCF. Tons of stockpiled weapons in there. If you could get us those weapons, we'd stand a good chance against the Vipers. Don't even worry about hauling back either. Just find the weapons and report back. Our boys will do the heavy lifting. Have a good one.
Hold up there, youngster.
Hold up. They're dead.
Yeah.
Can I help you?
Here on behalf of Buchanan, she said she sent some people here to pick up supplies.
Yep. Left a couple of days ago. Sent them off with everything promised. Is there a problem with the shipment?
Yeah, it never came, dickwad.
Well, I told them to follow the railway till they hit Nipton. Better than following the road and running into all them convicts. They sounded pretty on board with my suggestions, so I'd check a... Yep, all of us do. There's plenty to go around, and the NCR doesn't give a shit for pay or protection, so we don't give two fucks about whether they have a claim to it or not.
Nothing else.
See ya.
Right. Then this is just around the corner here, so we're gonna go do that quick. I love the living desert robo grains.
Hello, sir.
Hey.
I'm sorry, but I am not at liberty to chat right now.
I genuinely don't understand why Obsidian made dialogue for RoboBrains and never put them in the game. That's outstanding to me. You would think, you know, investing that money into voice acting and writing all that dialogue for them, they would have put something in the game, but suppose not. So originally this dungeon was filled with powder gangers, but then I remembered that you have a option to actually ally yourself with the powder gangers, which would make this a really shitty dungeon. So I figured, well, if it's a cave that's filled with munitions, there's a good chance that it's just some random independent escaped convicts that are just out here doing their own thing. So now the player gets a proper dungeon whether or not they're allied with the escaped convicts.
My leg. I've got you now. On it. Gah!
I do not have my Stimpaks hotkeyed.
I'm out of here.
Jesus. Oh my god. What level am I? Level 1. Thought I just leveled up a bunch. Oh my god, I am so bad at this game.
Come on.
stim pack left. Nice.
Guess it was nothing.
Jesus.
Come on!
Over.
This was one of my favorite levels I made for the whole project. It's just really fun to navigate. I had also set... I messed around a lot in this level with a lot of the combat data for the NPCs, which is why the level flows so consistently well. A lot of times, mod authors will just use a lot of the default settings, because I don't think people realize that because of the way Obsidian made New Vegas, a lot of their settings on the AI combat data side were kind of just ripped from templates that Bethesda had made for Fallout 3. I don't think they fully understood a lot of the AI tools in the game, so for the most part, on the rare occasion you do execute a dungeon, Lonesome Road is a great example. All the NPCs in the area just immediately aggro to you, and they all know your exact location. But if you manipulate some of their AI data, you can actually have really fun flowing levels to where they may be alerted to your presence, or they may not be alerted to your presence. Like, let's say you have a shootout in this main corridor, right? Or over in this area. You can make it so within, let's say, 5,000 units, those NPCs, so these guys over here, will be alerted to your presence, but people over here in this corridor won't be. And it allows the level to flow a little more smoothly, so you can have 20 NPCs in a relatively small area, but they're not all just going to swarm the player, making it kind of an unfair and ultimately a lot less fun of a level. You can kind of have that same amount of NPCs paced out. Hell yeah. It's one of my favorite guns in this mod as well. Not a PPSH, of course. And of course I had to do the classic Skyrim dungeon loop. These stupid bark scorpions. Come on, come get some, you sons of bitches. shit, I forgot to do the other quest. I really should have given myself some better armor for this showcase. I chose... we'll get better armor when we go back to the Coalition Ranch. I'm also gonna cheat. Did I? Yes.
What the hell are you doing here? Get your head down. They're gonna ambush any second.
Oh, they ambushed, alright. Oh, Jesus. Nobody survived. Looks like the last commissar is dead. On his corpse is a sack full of mesquite beans. You assume these will entice the Brahmin to come back to the wagons.
Make it quick.
Supplies are safe and sound.
But not a man in sight. Shouldn't have sent fresh recruits alone. Well, thanks anyway. We certainly appreciate the help. Now, if you don't mind, we're gonna need a hand building this guard tower.
Alright, sick. So now the guard tower up there is constructed.
Howdy.
Howdy. Found the weapons?
Well, shit.
So those two result in, if you complete those two quests, that results in the best outcome ending for the commune. All these other things will be essentially small neutral gains to the overall cause.
Stranger detected. Initializing propaganda.
So I think if you donate medical supplies, you give this character over here some eggs for their science experiments, and then you repair the solar panels. That should get you...
Howdy. We got plenty of produce for sale. You interested?
That should get you the threshold to progress with this quest, but it won't necessarily yield you the best ending for the Coalition.
Dr. Vetch could always use more specimens from the wasteland. If you bring me any kind of eggs, I'll offer you a fair, wholesale price for them.
Got eggs. I don't have any eggs, damn it. These two quests will also progress you through the main commune comrade quest if you get the best results from them. So in this case, the guy died who I was supposed to save in the caravan, so I got a little less of a rep boost from that. So I have to do one of these other little miscellaneous side objectives. I think I have some medical supplies. I have a couple doctor's bags I could donate to the clinic. For a further update, I might also add some other random stuff around. I thought I must have cut it. At one point, you could also repair the water pump. There was something wrong with the water pump. But there's just already so many options. I think I ended up cutting that out. There was also an injured person here you could assist. I just had like so many options. It was kind of annoying to the point where I used the just assorted mods, and I had so many side objectives that the second that you exited this building, it was your entire screen was just plagued with location marks, with floating objective markers, and so I was like, maybe a little overwhelming for the player to have this many options marked on their map. But I might, in a future update, just uncut those and just make them not give them any objective markers. That way it's just kind of a fun little side thing the player can participate in. Need help with anything?
Honestly, we could always use the basics.
Right. I have medical supplies. There's a doctor there. Hopefully that gets me where I need. Yep. Perfect. Oh yeah, and the medical supplies, when you donate those, they also reduce infamy. So if you happen to have a little issue with them at one point or another, it's a good way to boost your rep.
Hello. It's good to see you again. What can I help you with?
Wanted to speak to you about joining the Cowboy Coalition.
You've really proven yourself useful to our cause. We have great appreciation for your kindness. To show gratitude, we've agreed to join the coalition. I've already sent an envoy your way. Oh God, it's the Vipers. They're coming! Get out there and give my friends a hand! They're coming!
Wow, Doctor. Not even gonna join the fight.
Keep your eyes up. We've got a fucking big one this time. My boys had eyes on Chief Ironclad himself.
What's that mean for us?
It means they ain't here to leave survivors. They want to finish us once and for all. So go get some cover and check your mags. We're in for a fucking fight.
I really loved how the marked men would mark flares to signal an attack. So I did that with the Vipers. Real quick. Red sheep.
Oh, Jesus.
So if you do Todd's quest, speaking of Todd, he's dead. If you do Todd's quest, all future or all commissars will get armed with better weapons as well, which is a nice little bonus for the defense here, because this is a rather hard fight, especially if you're in an early game state. This is definitely a challenging fight.
Had enough?
of stim packs. I'm running out of stim packs. Medicinal stim packs. Just have some auto injects. That's not a guy I want near me. Jesus. Thank God I gave myself more stim packs. Oh, thank God. So yeah, and then once you kill Ironclad in this, because he's such a tough boss, and it's such a tough fight, I figured once their leader dies, they're probably just gonna start retreating. So that's what all the Vipers will retreat once you kill Ironclad. So that's a nice little tip. Oh, Jesus. Hope I have some anti-venom. Nice, I do not. I do not have any anti-venom. I just cured my poison, did I not?
For a minute there, I thought we were a goner. All thanks to you, we not only survived the attack, but it looks like we might have scared off the Vipers for good. I think you've earned a spot in our little commune. Consider it your second home.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
So yeah, this was originally slotted out to be a lot bigger of a mod, which I'll talk about here now that we're doing the, I'm going to stop at the Coalition Ranch real quick and get some better armor, because my armor is completely degraded now. This was originally going to be like a total I mean, it already is like a lighter overhaul for New Vegas, hence why it has so many compatibility issues.
What can I get you?
Take all this shit. I don't want it. Let's see. I will do the veteran armor. I guess I'll keep that hat. Oh, Jesus.
What can I get you?
Wait. Whoops.
That's what I'm here for.
More 4570. Hell yeah. I think that's everything. Maybe some more 308 rounds wouldn't hurt. So yeah, this mod, and it still might as I update it more. I've been taking a big break from this mod just because this has been God, when did I start this? I started this mod, I think, in 2023. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because I hit a kind of brick wall in another mod that I have shelved right now, which takes place in Alamo, Nevada. I was working on that one for 3 years as well, but I hit so many issues with that one that I decided that I needed to make something that was a little more doable in scope. So I opted for this one, which ended up being a 3-year endeavor. But the original idea for this was that it was going to be a total overhaul conversion type mod that gave New Vegas a little more lively of a local populace and a local system of people, for lack of a better term. So it was still going to revolve around what it is now. What the mod is now is still what was going to be the main conflict of the story, right? But Cash Ranch was actually going to be a part of a whole North Vegas population that I was going to flesh out. And I mean, I still might in a future update. It just depends on if people really find the concepts interesting or if the mod really sticks in the long run. Obviously, I don't want to invest too much into updating a mod that, people just play once and drop. But there was going to be a whole North Vegas community that Cash Ranch was essentially the de facto leaders of. And they were going to have their own reputation system, and they were going to be able to support one side or the other. If you sided with the Booth Barons, then you would be able to coerce these people, essentially bribe them into selling their property and becoming big NCR sharecropper farms for the Barons. So it was going to be a whole thing. Oh my god, how am I not hitting this? This is ridiculous, man. Why am I not using a scoped weapon? Because I can't hit with a scope either. There we go. But yeah, the scope of For a Few Brahmin More is already a hassle for compatibility, which is a whole nother tangent I could go on as well. So I decided to cut a lot of the scope of this side of things and just make it what it is now. That being said, so I guess I'll just kind of brush. Oh my god. I keep forgetting to install stupid Living Desert patch for this. So one gripe I always have with New Vegas Quest mods, or any mod that has, a significant story that's supposed to feel like the career should actually give a fuck about it outside of what they're already doing, is that a lot of times these quest mods will have, these very grandiose stakes to them, but once you're finished with the mod, it's like you never engage with those stakes again. So you're like, like my brain, whenever I play a mod like that and I finish it, I'm like, why the fuck did I care so much when the stakes are actually so low in the world? Like, you get that ludonarrative dissonance, right? To where the world is not, in fact, what the explicit text states that it is. So with For a Few Brahmin More, there's so many locations and sub-locations that I add to the project that contribute to the compatibility dilemma, but I do that because I get frustrated when a story claims, Johnson, what are you doing, bud? What are you doing? Chill the fuck out, bud. Everyone else is fine but you. I do that because it drives me crazy as a player as an enjoyer of RPGs, to play to engage with a story that has no real significance as I continue with the game outside of the explicit main story, which is something I'll put on display later.
Howdy, stranger. Welcome to Cash Ranch. Well, soon to be NCR Ranch once our sale goes through.
Once again, I love the voice actors for this mod. They were all outstanding. I'm here with the Cowboy Coalition, yada
Sure
yada
as
yada.
hell am. The wife and I can't keep up with the goddamn place anymore. Damn ranch is falling apart on us. With our old age, we're better off just selling it while it's still worth a camp or two.
What if I helped out around the ranch? Would that keep you from selling?
Stranger, that's mighty kind of you. I sure as heck will consider sticking around if things get...
What if I found another buyer for you?
Well, the NCR's got us a pretty sweet deal, but the wife and I are always open to new possibilities. We'll hear people out who are interested. Now that I think of it, some fella named Elias over at Co-op showed interest a while back, but nothing ever came of it.
What's your price?
5,000 caps. Done the math with June, and we can't live off anything less.
Alright, that's all for now.
Alright.
See you, John. So, there was... When I did the initial writing and designing of this story, I wanted two different things to kind of... for the player to engage with. One is that traditional, like, very broad choice that the player can make, this really large breadth of choice the player can make, variety I should say, and then another where it's a little more on the rails, but the way in which you engage with your choices and like the more subtle details are what matters. So the more subtle engagement of choices and details is what the Wolfhorn Ranch, the Commune Comrade quest is more about. It's those little decisions that you make that add up to be a larger result. So do I save the guy who's in the caravan dealing with the jackals or whatever? Does he die? That contributes to X, Y, and Z. Do I help Buchanan get the building supplies? Do I help Todd get the weapons? Do I repair their solar panels? Do I donate medical supplies? Like, all these little minute decisions that you make add up to a more grandiose decision, right? Well, with Cash Ranch, it's more about how does the player want to engage in a single decision that results in your conclusion, right? So with Cash Ranch, there are a plethora of different decisions that are very, very simple to make. You're literally just choosing what happens to Cash Ranch. You're just choosing the end result. So I'm gonna set reputations real quick because your reputation with the followers is important here. So you can ally Cash Ranch in a variety of different ways. Your first option is probably the most straightforward option that most people would choose. You talk with Jack.
Hello, sir. Can I help you with?
This voice actor fucking sucks.
John? Oh, Mr. Cash. Yeah, Mr. Cash's back has been giving him the middle finger as of late. Put me in a spot of being a lick overwhelmed.
This is me, by the way.
Take a look
if
here.
nobody,
I've got a whole
if
list
someone
filled
actually
up.
thought that I was shitting on a real voice actor.
That sucker. Ah, here she is. Right. So the first thing's the turbines. Not so much hard.
Okay. So he gives you a... Oops. He gives you a bunch of tasks that you can use to restore the ranch. And then once you restore the ranch or do all these little odd jobs for him, you can convince Johnson and June to stay on Cash Ranch and hold possession of it and ally themselves with the coalition. Which we can actually do these tasks without without locking us into a decision, so I'm going to do that quick. So I have to first get the calves away from Big Mama, otherwise she won't move. If anyone has worked on a dairy or a cattle farm, you know that mothers are stubborn as hell to get away from, separate from their calves. Big old heifer. Then we just walk her over here. We got her to the shed. And then if the player has survival of 50, we can get some Brahmin milk from her. We can harvest Brahmin milk every once in a while. Next thing we have to do is repair the turbine. This is Jack's shack. Jack Shack. With perception, we can just notice that the gears are rubbing against each other, causing friction. Then deliver the compost over to West Side Co-op.
Howdy.
West Side Noir 2026 release, question mark? I hope so. At El
Howdy.
Pascal.
Welcome to the co-op. Head on in if you're looking for produce.
Here's some compost from Cash Ranch.
Cash Ranch. Say, I hear Johnny's selling the place to them barons. You wouldn't happen to know if he's reconsidered.
He has. Are you interested?
Boy, I've been interested. Suppose I should have kept better tabs on the place. We just been busy running this place. Tell Johnny we got a place for him here in Westside and free food for life.
I'll let him know.
Thanks.
So yeah, now that I've done all those tasks, I have quote-unquote restored Cash Ranch to its former glory by milking a cow, delivering compost, and fixing a turbine. Once again, it was one of those things where I was going to have like 20 different tasks that the player had to do, and they had to do like 10 of them in order to help restore the ranch, but it just felt like busy work. Maybe if people are really interested, I can re-implement those in an update. So I can have the Cash family retain the ranch. If you talk a little bit with Jack, he'll mention that he has an interest in inheriting the ranch, so you could...
You do that for me? Oh, thank you, stranger. Tell him I got 1,500 caps saved up. I'm more than willing to give it all for this place.
You can have Jack, obviously, inherit the ranch.
Howdy, stranger.
Howdy, Johnson. About the ranch.
What you got for me?
So yeah, you have a plethora of options here. Let's see. I'll do West Side.
Well, that's a done deal then. All I care about... Oh, and maybe you ought to speak to...
So then you have some West Side citizens come and work the ranch.
Hello, sir. Can I help you with?
What are you doing now that the ranch is under new ownership?
Ah, hell, I don't know a damn. I knew this day was coming and I dreaded to think about it. Guess I'll just go out and wander, unless that is you had something in mind.
So, you can convince Jack to join the coalition and be a hired gun. That being said, Jack's a kid with virtually no experience in warfare, so every time, I'm not exaggerating, every single time I have recruited Jack to the coalition, he has died in the most bloody and miserable way. So we are just going to have him stick with Westside. Westside is always looking for extra hands, and they're independent too, so you won't have to worry about the NCR or Legion.
You's right. This is a nice little thing they got going. Maybe staying around the ranch will give me some good rep with the co-op. Oh, yep, of course.
So I'm going to have him stay on the estate. Okay, Coalition Ranch. Finally, we are done with that section. Oh, I also forgot to mention. Sorry, I'm adjusting on my chair here. I think I've been doing this for an hour now, so I'm getting a little restless. Might have to call it quits after this. Oh, should I get a sick hat? Hell yeah. So you have these little plaques around. This is kind of the base of the story, the conflict, right? So a lot of my writing is based on both fiction and history, predominantly history. Everything, all these paintings around the ranch are pretty explicitly revolutionary based. This is all French Revolution stuff. Yeah, this is French Revolution. Storming of the Bastille. I can't remember what this painting is called. Then all this other stuff is essentially cattle baron and like Pinkerton portrayals of the 19th century American West, which are surprisingly they draw a lot of similarities. I'll just kind of leave. Oh yeah, this is the definitely not on the nose, the death of Moreau. So yeah, a lot of it's very revolutionary rhetoric. I wanted to throw around the Coalition Ranch. But yeah, I would really, if you're American and you're interested in Westerns or the history of the West, especially in our current political affairs in the U.S., this is very heavily inspired by a lot of real life events that took place in the West. And if you're not into the history and politics of it, obviously I drew from a lot of classic spaghetti westerns. This is this from for a few? No, this is from, I want to say, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. This is towards the end of the film, when Angel Eyes is tracking down Tuco and Blondie. So yeah, I obviously drew a lot of inspiration from the Dollars trilogy, Ennio Morricone, and what's the director's name? I can't think of off the top of my head who directed those films. I can't believe I remember the composer for those films, but I can't remember the director. It'll come to me at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, very heavily inspired by those films as well, which are pretty politically savvy if you get into the subtext of those movies. Anyways, huge side tangent. Let's finish this up.
Nice to see you again. What can I do?
About the ranches.
Hope you got newsworthy.
Wolfhorn.
Heck, I can drink to the... I reckon as much. A few boys from there showed up a lick ago. Sounds like they're giving their thanks with a couple of six-shooters. I'll hear a whisper of complaint. Looks like them ranches have been dealt with. Now it's time to get on the saddle and hit them where it hurts. Take...
Nice. You now have access to their pack corners for resupplying provisions. Oh yeah, forgot to talk about this. So this is Willie Roscoe and Shady Sands. Shady Sands 55. So yeah, now whatever factions you allied with show up outside of the ranch, which is pretty cool.
Watch yourself heading east. Lots of Legion activity.
Oh, another thing I did want to address, that I've heard a few people talk about is, a lot of people said, why are these two factions warring and they're in such close proximity? Well, the answer is pretty simple. There's really not a ton of real estate in the game to put something like these two factions far enough away while also having some semblance of... Let me put it like this. This was made to be a quest mod that essentially kept the player, for the most part, in this region of the map. Obviously, with Cache Ranch, it sends you up here on a wild goose chase to unite kind of the northern Vegas factions against the Coalition to some degree. But for the most part, the quest mod is in the bottom southern part of the map. The reason why is because I wanted this to be a way to keep the player down here for a significant period of time. I feel like once you hit Prim, from Prim all the way up to Novak, there's really not much that keeps you down here. You have a few quests in the Mojave Outpost, but those pretty much keep you in this region. There's not a ton going on in Prim, but even so, most people will either keep Prim independent, so they go over to the correctional facility, or they go to the Mojave Outpost to align themselves with the NCR. Otherwise, you can also do Prim Slim, which gives you no movement outside of the town. It's literally just getting fission batteries or having a science skill. So there's really no significant amount of quests that keep you in the southern region that are bipartisan, I should say. Obviously, Legion quests will keep you over here. There's a little bit to do in Searchlight, but besides the point, for the most part, there's not really anything significant that keeps you in this kind of middle game, early to middle game area. So I wanted this to really consolidate you to solve a conflict and have a little more going on in this southern region, which is why these two are in such close proximity. Also, once you get over into the main Vegas area, this is all urban development, right? Aside from over here, there's really not a ton I could really build in way of the Coalition's headquarters. Maybe I could have done on Horowitz Farmstead, but there's so many mods that have things going on at this farmstead, it would have been an even bigger compatibility nightmare for me. So I just kept them somewhat close to each other. I mean, if you consider Camp Searchlight as anything, that's essentially a wall in and of itself. So even though they're somewhat in close proximity, they're far enough away to where I don't consider it egregious. So yeah, that's kind of my explanation for that. So now that I have the perks, I can actually use these pack corners to travel. And you can take these to a myriad of camps.
Frontier life ain't as romantic as it sounds. You're all...
Yeah, then you can share storage between all the tents that you access at each camp, which is pretty nice for like a hardcore playthrough. Pack corners have provisions, which is really nice. Take some of them. Travel. I think my favorite camp. The print camp is pretty cool. The Cottonwood camp is nice. Wonder if I ever fixed this bug with the Cottonwood camp. I did. Okay, thank God. There was a bug with the Cottonwood camp where even though the marker, the travel marker, was on the ground, it would spawn you like 80 feet up in the air and you would just fall to your death. Just one of those weird Gamebryo bugs that I could never figure out. So I think I had to make some wacky workaround for that. But yeah, I really liked having cowboy camps around. That's one of the ways I was talking about earlier in which I wanted the story to actually feel like, even though it is a mod, it feels very integrated into the world. It's another gripe I have with a lot of DLCs. Skyrim actually is, oh my god, Bethesda, I have a lot of criticism for Bethesda game design for the most part, but Skyrim does such a beautiful job, and I mean absolutely beautiful job, at integrating DLCs into the actual world of Skyrim. Dawnguard feels so well integrated. You find, even without mods, you find Dawnguard patrols running around. You find characters, or you find characters from Solstheim actively sending you to the mainland to do things. Like, Bethesda really thought through how to make a really immersive and just naturally feeling world in Skyrim, and that's because they just did such a great job at top-down implementation of all of their content that they added throughout the game. So that's kind of my design philosophy. I like to combine the better of two worlds. So while I am very much pro compatibility for bigger playthroughs, I also want a playthrough to feel like you're not just tacking on mods that feel like they're a one and done kind of thing. I want them to feel like it's additional, almost like DLC content that adds more to the world and makes it feel alive. So little things like, cowboy camps where you have like cowboy coalition members hanging around and giving their input into what's going on in the geopolitical situation of the world. Or having, booth barons patrol around, having booth baron outposts and whatnot. To me, that's just stuff that makes me feel really immersed into the world and makes everything feel more alive. Another great example that I added is this, just outside of Crimson Caravan. Depending on who wins the conflict in the main story, a different faction will take possession of it. By default, it's the Cowboy Coalition.
Looking to trade? Here's what I've got.
But yeah, you can have like these ranch merchants.
Good deal. Good deal.
But yeah, just little things like that I love to see in the world. And being someone who is pro compatibility, most of the time I would say you can find a way to work around it in a decently modded playthrough. I'm not someone who likes to max out how many plugins I have in my load order.
I'm glad.
I would rather have a lighter load order but have a more catered experience.
Nice to see you again.
Alright, ready for more
Got
work.
you a fix of liquid gold down at the bar, huh? Well, I sure as heck hope so. 'Cause we got some business. I got 2 more things for you to do. First, we're gonna need some real explosives. We want to take down Buck Booth. I ain't talking dynamite or grenades. I'm talking real military-type explosive charges. And I got... Just pat...
Right. Can unlock this. Because for some reason I have no fucking lockpick skill. Anything useful? No. So yeah, oh shit. Fuck. See, I am cheating here quite a bit because I
Halt!
want to...
What's your business getting so close to an NCR supply convoy?
I did want to showcase a lot of the different options that you can perform. My courier might have heard of me. I need those explosives for pest control. You can just straight up lie. I'm with the quarry over at Sloan. We were told to take some of these explosives off your hands.
Ah, typical brass, not filling us in on the plan. Well, go ahead and grab what you need. Ease my mind not to be sitting on a stockpile of explosives.
Then obviously you can always do a violent route. Oh no.
You've done a good turn for
No,
these.
you.
Nice to see you again.
Here are those explosives.
Oh, whoa.
Okay. So the next one is also really fun. God, at this point I might just fucking do the whole quest in one run. Do the whole thing. Kind of speedrunning it right now. Next one is a fun little excursion you can go on. So Willie Roscoe just wants Buck's son, who is currently trying to overthrow an NCR QRF camp with a piece of towed artillery to use against the Coalition. He wants you to just get his son out of the picture. He doesn't really care the result, which once again gives agency to the player because you can just fucking straight up kill him. Not a great option if you're pro NCR and you want to just have some simple resistance against colonial power like the Barons. But that's totally an option. Once again, doesn't really matter who you side with. You can be a piece of shit. But there's a few ways you can go about it. You can poison his steak by talking to this character.
Hi, how can I help you?
Can you tell me about Corporal Booth?
Nothing good, that's for certain. His daddy's...
Then she'll tell the player that a courier comes by every once in a while and delivers his son's steaks so he doesn't have to eat MREs. So if you piece that together, you can take a Brahmin steak out of his duffel bag, tell her, ask her about that, and then suddenly the player will gain some knowledge. Come into the tent, there's some rat poison here. Slather the steak in poison. Then what you can do is deliver it. Corporal Booth will eat the steak, die. Obviously, he's eating rat poison. And then that'll be a way you can take out Corporal Booth violently without the NCR attacking you. Oh, alternatively, a way to just get him out of the picture passively.
How can I help?
A few questions. I'm investigating Corporal Booth. What can you tell me about him?
I won't say this to any of my troopers, but believe me when I say that kid's a fucking headache to work above. Can't discipline him, can't put him in tough situations, and you can't order him around. But the kid's in too deep now. Apparently, his promotion came after his last sergeant mysteriously died. He'd taken it upon himself to command the squad and move them to a nearby distillery owned by the Wrights. Coincidentally, a group of Vipers just so happened to have attacked that distillery not long after the squad set up shop. Got himself his own fucking Golden Branch of Honor for his heroic defense. Never mind the fact that the area his squad was supposed to protect caused an entire supply chain shortage after a few legionaries found the gap in our line. At least he paid a debt to his rightful owner. Hell.
So that'll give the player some context that he's in bed with the Wright family, which is a new Reno crime family you meet in Fallout 2. So then you can
Howdy.
I'm here for the rights. You're wanted back in Reno. You better get moving. Now. Essentially scaring him off. Once again, you can deliver the steak. Another way you can get him killed is pickpocket this note. This note incriminates him that he is trying to get his commanding officer killed so he can take his position. Can turn that over to Sergeant Sterling, and Sterling will get into a confrontation with him. You also know that he is a drug user, so you can smuggle like Med-X, Psycho. I don't think Hydra is considered one. I think it's just the Legion banned drugs. I think, or no, it's not the Legion banned drugs. I might have made a custom list that you could smuggle into his duffel bag. I think it's like Jet, Med-X, Psycho, and a couple others. But then you can report him over to Sterling, and they'll once again get into a confrontation that results in his death. Might have accidentally aggroed some Cazadors over there. We're just going to take the passive option. Just scare him off.
Howdy. Oh, Jesus. Tell him I'll be there within a couple of days. Just don't go hurting me like you did last time. And don't tell Daddy that I've been using either. He'll do me worse than y'all ever could.
Now we'll go back to the ranch. And doing it that way is nice because it shoots you over to nighttime, and this is a very, very fun cinematic battle at night.
Hey, up here, partner. Get your cylinders loaded. We got more Barons coming in hot. Ain't no scouting party. They're coming for the kill.
Alright, say less.
Jesus.
Yeah, then obviously the more allies that you have, the easier the battle is. I also have I have a couple scripts in this mod that also adjust some stats for the NPCs depending on your level. So I think it's once you hit level 20 and then level like 40, it does give some of the NPCs, certain NPCs, I think the mercenaries most specifically, a slight boost in damage threshold. The reason why I do that is because once you hit level 40 or 50 in this game, you're a literal god. And it makes pretty much every single combat challenge trivial. So I do have some slight modifiers in order to make this a nice challenging combat scenario for players, regardless of level.
Because, I mean, lore-wise, I've established that the Navari mercenaries are essentially some of the... Most of them are NCR special forces who have been disenfranchised and bought out by a mercenary company, so I want them to be pretty challenging. I'm going to take some of their leather armor. If I can hit a single thing. Broadside of a barn, maybe. I love the NCR prospector, just dirty dirt, just walking through like nothing's going on.
Watch out for fiends.
Captain Kilman. Who is a...
Well, I'll be damned. If it ain't that no-good son of a bitch, Captain Lee Kilman. Looks like his big, tough mercenaries lost their spines as soon as he hit the ground.
Who's Captain Kilman?
Some no-good piece of Brahmin shit who was too uncivilized to cut with the NCR doughboys. Used to roll with the 1st Cavalry before he started the execution of an entire village suspected of harboring fugitives.
What do we do now?
We tend to the injured, round up whatever barons are left, and see what we can get out of them. After that, couldn't have said it better myself. Here's the men we managed to wring out of the ashes. You just give me the word and I'll put their sorry hides 6 feet under the sand.
So yeah, Captain Kilman is a reference to Apocalypse Now. Colonel Kilgore. We already won, just let them go.
Listen here, Thick Skull. We ain't won yet. We let those sorry sacks of dirt go, they'll just run on back to their base and try to kill us later.
You're just going to kill unarmed men. You're starting to act more and more like a baron. So this is a big decision here. If you kill these guys, Josie Deacon will kill Willie Roscoe later. It's virtually, I think it's impossible to talk him down if you let Willie Roscoe kill these barons.
Damn. You're right, kid. I don't know what the hell's gotten into my head. Guess I got just too caught up in the moment. Go ahead and set him free. If we catch him later, that's their demise. Looks like these barons are damn near broken.
Need more time to prepare. We didn't talk to Bighorn Bob.
Yep.
Have some questions for you.
Can't say I'll necessarily have all the answers, but shoot.
Tell me about yourself.
Name's Bill, but folks know me as Bighorn Bob. Not from around here, though. Home for me is Colorado.
Bighorn Bob is another pretty substantially cut down character. He was originally supposed to be the Josie Deacon companion for the Coalition side. He's from Colorado. He's going to be a big, like, Wasteland 3 reference, essentially. I love Wasteland 3. So he's going to be a former Colorado Ranger who's kind of been disenfranchised and moved out west to find greener pastures. But I kind of changed his character a little bit more. I kind of ran out of time and steam to fully flesh out Bighorn Bob to what I thought would be unique enough and substantial enough to counteract Josie Deacon. The companion I had when he was implemented, he just felt like he was a ripoff of Josie Deacon, and I just didn't have anything substantial for Bighorn Bob to really contribute to the story as a companion, so I ended up just cutting him. He's still a character who's, gives his own 2 cents into the conflict and everything, and I like how he turned out. But yeah, he was supposed to be a lot more fleshed out than how he is now.
This old thing, I call her the devil. She's a cold-blooded killer. Done a whole lot of bad in my right hand. Was passing through to see what all the commotion was about. Lots of folks back east spoke of a bright, shining city in the desert. Some told of its shining riches, others of its clean. But, truth be told, when I got here, I wasn't all too impressed. Saw the same old shit that was back home. Good people struggling to get by while the thugs and muddy men ruled with an iron fist. We've all got our reasons. Sometimes it's... Used to be in a gang that it...
I'll let you guys explore it if you're interested.
You ready or what?
Yes, sir.
Aha, that's what... Listen up, gentlemen. We got these rotten taters on the ropes, but they still got some fight left in them. Y'all are gonna follow our friend here through the east end of the base while I round up some boys and attack the west. Just over yonder is where the Baron's keeping some of our boys. If we can get them out of there, we should have plenty of men to go to get Booth. Otherwise, expect one hell of a fight. Remember, Buck Booth is mine. I swear on my wife's grave, if anyone takes that shot, I'll bury you right next to that son of a bitch. The explosives are set to go off in a few minutes. In the meantime, I'll make my way yonder and meet up with my boys. Good luck, and Godspeed.
Alright, let's do this, boys. Hit nothing simulator, nice. Nice. Should have waited for backup, my bad, guys. Ego got in the way there. Yeah.
Listen up, gentlemen.
Oh, great, I have to do this again. Gotta change my loadout a little bit here. Oh, nice. I didn't set my fucking... Oh, no, not what I wanted. I wanted to add my repair to 100. There we go.
I'll tell you.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I do have a battle rifle.
What, the best water I ever drank came from good
I don't know why Obsidian added the battle rifle to Gunrunner's arsenal without any real significance to the weapon.
Letting off some rounds.
Oh, another thing that's pretty significant. If Willie Roscoe kills the prisoners in that previous scene, all of these guys, the coalition prisoners, will be dead as well. The barons kill them, so you'll basically lose about, I think there's 8 of them in your final fight, which makes this is a pretty substantially difficult portion of the game, let alone the mod. So especially if you want Bighorn Bob to survive, you need some backup. I think Bob died. I think he's dead. Oh, maybe not. Bob? Oh, thank God, buddy. Before we progress, we better free everyone. Free the prisoners. Free the slaves. So yeah, you would lose out on 5 additional guns. Now this right here, for some reason, I'm pretty sure I fixed it in the latest patch, but people were getting crashes right there, and I'm not entirely sure why. I've never been able to recreate the patch, or recreate the crash. I think it had something to do with the explosion I placed. I placed a bus explosion, and there just must be something with the explosion itself, or the...
Help over here!
Yeah, this is an absolute bloodbath if you... Everyone protect Bighorn Bob, who I'm pretty sure is dead. If he's still alive, I am... Oh my God, how is he still alive? This guy's a survivor. Oh my God, this is the first time I think I've done this battle with Bighorn Bob surviving. That is such a great... What a fantastic omen for this playthrough, is that Bighorn Bob actually survives. Hell yeah. So yeah, they might all be butchered. Oh my God, wow, we did pretty good. Typically, everyone gets absolutely shredded during this point. It might just be because I'm a lower level, so the scaling hasn't really made up for the damage differentials. But usually these guys get absolutely killed. Mostly everyone dies. It's a tragedy. It's a true Shakespearean tragedy. But yeah, so if you ally yourselves with Wolfhorn and you don't kill everyone, they'll show up during the battle.
Bring your gun.
Creepy old Chef Rusty. We'll see here in a second. There are a few other people who will show up for the final duel, the grand duel, if you will.
Let's no.
So yeah, we're going full scorched earth over here.
So this is how it all ends. Call it what you will, but for me, it's poetic justice. No matter which side the dice rolls, Willie Roscoe ain't leaving this fucking tent alive. And don't you think to trying to think swift, you might notice the fine embroidery around Mr. Roscoe's neck. That's a Legion slave collar. One press of a button and his head pops off like a sarsaparilla cap.
Why are you doing this?
You coalition thugs think you're the arbiters of justice. No, y'all ain't any more the law than we are. Y'all take advantage of fine people like my family to suit your own interests.
There's something more to this, isn't there?
No shit, there's something more. The coalition used their goodwill to commit heinous acts toward my family. They used our history with the NCR to firebomb our house. Why? Because two men ain't allowed to marry by the Bible. This ain't about uniting the ranches of the Mojave, no. The Coalition is an organized military force that's gonna terrorize the West for decades to come, enforcing their bigotry on anyone who settles in the territory.
So this is the big turning point where your decisions really affect how Willie Roscoe and Josie Deacon's stories conclude. If you've massacred any of the ranches, or, you know, done them dirty in any sort of way that contributes negatively to Josie Deacon's perception of you, it kind of just reinforces his projection of the Coalition being an oppressive force. If you let Willie Roscoe kill the hostage or the POW barons, that obviously contributes very negatively. That has a major impact. So you can say this, and if any of those things have proven otherwise, then he'll use that against you to kill Willie Roscoe, and you'll eventually have to kill Josie Deacon or negotiate with him to kill Roscoe. Either way, it contributes negatively to your ending, which is once again reinforcing what I said before. Is you can choose the ideology, but it's more so how you execute within that ideology that matters, in my opinion, and kind of how I wrote the story.
Okay, go ahead.
Now it allows me to actually talk him down. Look at how far he's come with all of these men. Do you seriously believe a bigot of all people could lead an entire coalition against the biggest power in the wasteland? He represents something we all believe in, freedom.
Maybe you have a point, but that doesn't change the fact of what he did to me.
He didn't do anything. You're making him guilty by association. Every organization has some rotten eggs. The coalition is no different.
Ugh, you're right. This revenge plot has gone too fucking far. I've been too blinded by anger to see the reality of things. Maybe it's time I let go and move on to greener pastures. Here, this is the key to the bomb collar. I'm gonna get out of here before I dig myself a grave. Good luck.
Kid, I ain't deserve anything better for what Josie was fixing to give me. But to you, I owe you my gratitude. Now, let's go send Buck Booth onto the first Brahmin train to hell.
useful around here for us? Yeah. It counts as stealing. It's annoying, I know. I think this has more potential, yeah. Cheesy spaghetti western cutscene. I don't apologize for it. So if you recruited Jack Bigham into the coalition and he miraculously survives everything else, he would show up in this final scene, likely once again
Despite
getting
your efforts,
slaughtered.
it appears as though you read my hand wrong. Frankly speaking, however, this is my last ace in my sleeve, so let's negotiate. You are all going to put down your weapons and allow us safe passage back across the NCR border. From there, I will speak with the Senate about giving the coalition a spot in the congressional lobby. Or if you're feeling rather obstinate, we can resolve this with our weapons, and we'll cross the border carrying your corpses. The choice is yours.
Before we settle things, I have some questions.
Sure. I guess I have a few moments.
Why are you doing this?
If you haven't noticed, the NCR dollar is collapsing at an alarming rate. The only way we are to save ourselves from a market crash is to expand rapidly. What better way to do that than to take the land that's going to be ours soon anyway? Sure, some people are going to get displaced or die along the way, but exponentially more will perish if we let the NCR economy collapse. Not to mention, once the Republic annexes Vegas, it'll be much safer for real estate to be in my hands versus 1,000 small land tyrants fighting each other for jurisdiction. Sometimes, monopolies are for the better.
To quickly get on my political stool here, step stool, my soapbox rather, Buck Booth does have a point, but this is kind of the point kind of becomes foul, right? So Buck is an ultra-capitalist. He represents everything we see in like an ultra-capitalist society. He monopolizes all sorts of industries under his kind of overall corporate banner. And he's right. If the NCR doesn't expand rapidly and expand their grasp on non-renewable resources and, you know, limited finite resources, the NCR dollar and the NCR economy will collapse, causing, you know, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of deaths in the NCR land. The exact population of NCR isn't super clear. I would guess it's probably within 1 million, maybe 2 million max. But it's a substantial amount of human beings, right? So this is kind of where it gets into the more gritty political stuff. This is pretty much Marxist yeah, I guess you could say Marxist dialogue. Capitalism itself has a tendency to where the expectations of exponential growth and progressive positive growth year after year, they expect annual gains, right? They expect net positives. Well, the natural world within the confines of a moral society cannot operate within those values, which is where the NCR really gets exposed in the long run. So the NCR becomes very capitalist and very, as a result, very expansionist, because when you constantly expect growth, you can't do that within a natural sense within a certain confine. So if the NCR, the New California Republic, actually stays in California, they can't continue to grow. They would very quickly outgrow their consumerist culture, their need for more and more resources. So naturally, they have to expand in order for them to accommodate for this ever-expanding economy that they're building, right? So Buck Booth isn't wrong in saying that the NCR dollar and the value of the NCR economy is going to collapse, causing, you know, a market crash or a Great Depression or whatnot, if this New Vegas conquest isn't successful. But he's more or less highlighting the flaw in the ideology itself, that if the NCR focused more on structural growth rather than expansive growth, they wouldn't suffer from this problem. If the NCR wasn't so wasteful with resources, they wouldn't have a huge water crisis back home. They wouldn't have a huge energy crisis back home. If they built the foundation to be more stable, they wouldn't have the issues they're having now. This is a byproduct of ultra capitalistic and ultra imperialistic expansion. So really, siding with Buck Booth wouldn't be an issue, wouldn't be a net negative on the NCR economy immediately. It would immediately resolve a lot of the issues, but in the long term, they're eventually going to hit a brick wall with something else. So Buck isn't wrong in the literal sense, but he's wrong in a more long-term sense, more structural, foundational sense. How are you getting away with all this?
I'm not getting away with anything. I'm simply a philanthropist who is expanding my endeavors toward the frontier of NCR territory. There is no jurisdiction out here, and even if there was, I'm operating fully within my rights as an NCR businessman.
What was your end goal?
Simple. To take as much land in as little time as possible. Then, once the NCR annexes Vegas, I begin to redistribute the land to NCR citizens. For a price, of course. Right.
It's a deal.
Bingo! That's what I like to hear. Oh. It appears we have an objection.
You son of a bitch! You're letting that no good piece of Brahmin shit leave?
We've won. You kill him and the entire NCR army is on your doorstep. Do you want to jeopardize the coalition because of some petty rivalry?
You're right, kid. You're wearing them spurs better than I ever could. Let's hightail it back to camp, boys. The war's over. Drinks are on me.
With the courier's aid, the coalition drove the Booth Barons and company out of the Mojave, showing the West that even a few ragged old cowboys can form together with enough steam to bring down the most powerful of bureaucrats. Soon after his escape, Buck Booth died whilst attending a private dinner meeting in Shady Sands. Witnesses claim to have seen Reno crime families around the area prior to the incident. Roscoe sat, looking over the now abandoned Baron camp. The smell of the fire brought him back to a mirrored event at his own ranch all those years ago. Although dissatisfied with the result of his campaign, he felt relieved to finally let go of the hatred carried on his shoulders for decades. Roscoe stuck around, leading the coalition for a little while longer. But once he heard news of the Barons making their return en masse, he quickly stepped down and wandered northwest, towards New Reno. Upon arrival, he met a young boy on the outskirts of town, playing fetch with his dog. His mother came out, surprised to see her estranged father at the doorstep. She gave him a disheartened smile, and invited him in for dinner. Roscoe settled down and reconnected with his daughter and her family. He died peacefully in his New Reno ranch at the age of 60 from cancer. He was surrounded by the family he had long sought after. After years of grief, Deacon finally saw his moment of revenge. But just as quickly as the opportunity appeared, it drifted away. The courier helped him see reason, and he soon after sought help. After many years of therapy with the followers, he came to terms with the reality of his tragedy. He ventured back to the skeleton of his former home and rebuilt it from the ground up to commemorate his family. The Wolfhorn commune continued to thrive long after the courier's intervention. They became a beacon for others seeking to start their own communities rather than rely on large, corrupt governments. Eventually, the communities who followed in their footsteps came to form a larger union of townships. They went on to create a sustainable and tight-knit trading alliance throughout the West. The West Side Co-op kept Cash Ranch in good condition for years to come. They slowly expanded the ranch to engulf neighboring properties, and with each property they took, the fewer places fiends had to hide. By the time the Mojave conflict had settled, the co-op had expanded Cash Ranch to over 500 acres of farmland, feeding hundreds, if not thousands, of independent citizens. Even after the Cash family's departure, Jack stayed on at the ranch for years to come. But after gaining enough experience in his trade, he set off to the east, where he heard of great bison herds waiting to be tamed. Bighorn Bob continued to wander the wasteland for years to come, searching for moments of redemption along the way. Only a few years after the Coalition War, however, he'd met a woman in Idaho who tended to the sheep and reminded him of someone he'd lost. He decided it was high time and settled down with Francesca. And so, the Courier made their mark on the future of the wasteland by assisting the Coalition. Whether intentional or not, their actions will carry through even after the Mojave storm has settled.
Alright, that is pretty much the end of, for a few Brahmin more, the main story at least. Excuse me. So, I mean, there are a lot of side locations, like I said, that I added throughout the game, which can contribute negatively to compatibility. But, yeah, so I added a few ranches around the Mojave. I'll kind of let people find them on their own, but just like little spots that I thought would be cool additions for the player to kind of have little nods back to the main story. So yeah, little ranches like this I added in. Nothing too crazy, but yeah. Ranch hands and stuff occupy them. You can.
Howdy.
Should be, yeah.
Looking to trade?
Little merchants that'll give you discounts if you side with the Coalition and whatnot. So yeah. But that's the end of the Coalition quest line. There is a little bit more exposition with the barkeep, explaining where everyone went. Other than that, yeah, that pretty much concludes it. I'll probably do one for the booth barons as well at some point. But yeah, this takes a shit ton of energy for me to do, to like commentate and have significant things to say. Like I said, it took me somewhere approximately 3 years to make this, so yeah, it's just sometimes it takes a long time for me to garner the motivation to go back to this, just because I kind of want to put it somewhat in the past and create new things. It's really hard for me as an artist to talk about something that took me this long and this grueling of a process to come up with. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully this was entertaining and insightful and not just a madman rambling for God knows what 2 hours now about his New Vegas quest mod. But yeah, we'll likely do one for the Barons at some point. Yeah, see you guys later.